Hey, Brave Masters, welcome back to our next episode of the Brave Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Jena Rodriguez, your host, and I am your brand business and brave strategist helping entrepreneurs all over the world gain brand clarity and master their business and make it profitable. That's very important to me. Otherwise, why are we doing this, right? And also make a lifestyle that they truly desire. That's also highly important. So that is what I'm all about. And this show is just another opportunity to share someone else's story of entrepreneurship. And today's guest, welcome Karen Yankovich, right? Did I get it?
Yes, that's right. Thanks, Jena. I'm so excited to be here. I think our messages are very similar.
Yeah. Well, and you and I were just talking how perfect, we're new to each other, and yet it's sometimes like the most perfect marriage because it's like, I believe we attract like-minded and certainly people that can speak the same language in some way. And I'm just really excited to get to know you. So share what you do and what your kind of purpose is in the world with everyone.
Yeah. So fundamentally, I help people use digital marketing profitably. And I love that you said that right in the beginning, Jena. A lot of, and what does that mean? It means social media. It means, for me, mostly it means LinkedIn. I mostly work with LinkedIn, and I'll talk a little bit about why. But, these are free tools that are available to every single person that's listening to this. But you've got to understand that they're tools that have a strategy that lead to profit. It is not just about making a lot of noise and a lot of visibility and having a lot of followers. It's, what I like to work with people on is how can we use these free tools to make more money, to grow our business. Because the more money we make, the more impact we can make. And, that very often can get designed, or we can design our businesses around our life. And we're in a place in time right now where that really has never been the case before.
Yeah.
Right? We're on a level playing field with the Pepsis and the Apples of the world, where we've got tools that are free to us, and they're the same tools that they're using.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing. I mean, obviously even this platform, we use YouTube and we use our, iTunes, and we use, LinkedIn and Facebook and all these things to promote this show. And I think it's amazing that we even have this capability now. Like if we really look back at what we didn't have years ago. Yeah. And I love the fact that you help people really make sense of it, because it's available if we know how to really use it the right way and to benefit our ultimate goal or our biggest vision. So yeah, that's wonderful. And so what do you think gets in the way for people, especially with LinkedIn?
What I think is in the way for people is we get in our own way. I think we get in our own way more than anything. Especially with LinkedIn. It's really interesting. I just put a question. I have a bunch of LinkedIn stuff that I do, and I'm working on a new LinkedIn program or revamping an old LinkedIn program. And I really want it to be I want to be able to reach more right brain business owners with it, because most people think of LinkedIn, they think very corporate, they think very left brain. Most of the LinkedIn programs are very strategy oriented, and the strategy is important. But what I think that the average entrepreneur is missing when they think about tools like LinkedIn, or when they think about any social media tools, is the social piece of it, the relationship piece of it. And it's no different than walking into a networking event physically, right? And looking to interact with people and to meet people that can further your business goals. When we use that same mindset to approach digital marketing, I think that that's where it starts to become, easier for us to do. But we get in our own way, and we think it's hard and complicated, and I'm posting on Facebook 10 times and I'm not getting any business. So you're posting, but are you developing relationships? Where's the engagement? Where are the people? Where's the conversation? Right? Yeah. That's the business comes from the conversation, not, in Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all those places give us visibility like we've never had before. But we've got to find a way to start the conversation. Yeah. And I think that's the piece that a lot of people forget, that it's not just about posting, it's about engaging and talking to people. And, it's at the end of the day, the same good old fashioned marketing techniques that we were using 30 years ago still work to grow our business now. We just have these amazing tools that make it easier for us to get to those tools.
Yeah. And I think there's, and I love that, because it is still relationship. I mean, that's been true ever since, right? In the beginning, from knocking on doors, selling vacuums. I mean, whatever it
Right,
is, it's
exactly,
about the relationship.
exactly. That's
And
exactly right.
yeah, and we have these tools that feel foreign when we first, move into them, and it's kind of like, well, how do we get that to work for us? And it's really great that that's what you focus on. I love that. So tell us a little about the story about how you got to this point. I'm assuming you've got a bigger background than just LinkedIn.
Yeah. So, like you've heard of the ladder to success. Well, I had this roller coaster. That was my
yeah, right. I'm with you.
My history is a roller coaster. There's no ladder.
Yeah.
I worked for the phone company for the beginning, most of my life.
When we had those on the wall.
Right. Very left-brained, very, very like strategy. Like I did a lot of network design and data network design and,
gotcha.
Really all this geeky techie stuff. But I was always on the sales side. Like I always loved the customer relationship side. So, I eventually left the phone company, started my own business, had a small consulting firm where we were agents for Verizon and several other people. And what I quickly found as the owner of a small agency is that when you own a company like that, you no longer do what you love to do. You now run the company. You now spend your time doing things like what benefits should we have and which conference table do we need to buy and whose turn is it to take the garbage out this week? And, that's really what, and that just isn't what I wanted to be doing. So I really love interacting with customers. I really love the strategy. So I was finding all kinds of reasons to get out with my salespeople all the time. And, it was good, but we ultimately sold the company and I became an independent consultant. At the time I was divorced, had 4 kids, not all of them are so little. So, you got health benefits to consider and things like that. So one of my consultant customers hired me on a part-time basis, made me like a sweet offer that I couldn't refuse. And then eventually talked me into coming full-time. And, while I just frankly hated it, it's just not what I wanted to be doing, but it served the purpose. I had benefits when my kids were growing up. I had a stable income but I had a ridiculously long commute and I wasn't really doing at all what I wanted to be doing. So as my kids got older and I had more free time, the fact that, you're talking to an entrepreneur when you have a single mother of 4 kids with an hour commute each way, thinking she has free time.
Right.
So now that I think I have free time, right?
Yep.
I started taking some courses in online marketing and helping some friends with some workshops that they were doing with their marketing, because marketing is really what I always loved doing, sales and marketing. And it really was my sweet spot. It really became my sweet spot. So I started to kind of I was still doing consulting when I was working for my customer. I still always had the consulting business, but it was all that network design, phone system installation kind of stuff. So I started to shift that business over to more social media marketing and digital marketing. And it got to the point, Jenna, where I was speaking all over the country for this, that I was using all my vacation time to speak, and on LinkedIn and digital marketing all over the country, that I finally had to make a decision at some point and say, you've got to make a decision here. So about 5 years ago, I left that and I've been doing this full-time ever since. And, and I love, this is really the first time, even though I've owned businesses before, this is the first time I've really designed the business around the life that I wanted to have. And that's just amazing. And I love when I can help my clients do the same thing.
Yeah, that's so funny. I actually have this process or, exercise called business lifestyle by design. And it's one of the things that we start with, with my clients. I'm like, well, how do you want it to look and feel? And, because I too have had a roller coaster, that's for sure. There's no straight line here. And, in my first business that kind of crashed and burned, I bought it, opened it, worked it for a year, and then I ended up in bankruptcy, $700,000 in debt and not able to swim. So that went bye-bye. But the point is it taught me what I wanted lifestyle wise. And it was a storefront. So it was tied to a location. It was tied. And some people love that, right?
Yeah.
And I really quickly learned, I'm like, wow, I actually don't want this. I actually do not want a commute. And I don't want, I had a commute, in corporate America. So the fact that you said that, I think is really powerful for people to hear right now, is that this doesn't, it's like an opportunity for life and business to come through you, not like happen to you. Like create it now and then step into it. And I don't know about you, but I live by the ocean in the summer. Like my daughter and I go and live in Destin, Florida for like a month.
Okay. I live by the ocean all year long. So.
Oh yeah. Where are you, by the way?
I live in the Jersey Shore. I live in
Jersey Shore. Got it.
I'm probably about 10 miles from the ocean. So
not bad. No,
drive there every day if I need to, because that's really where when I need some soul soothing, that's where.
Yes, well, that's what happens with me. I'm like, I need some soul soothing in the summer, and but just the flexibility of being able, because I'm in Houston, and it's not, Galveston's not quite the same. Nothing, no offense anyone, but it is not the water or the sand or anything that I desire. But my point is that I saw the lifestyle first, and then I built a business that would support that. Yes. And so it's really cool to hear that that's something you believe in as well. So
and not only do I believe in it, I think that it is creatable for many of us. Yeah. And I hope that anybody listening is inspired to understand that, there's a ton of people that I know raising my kids. I'm like the woman, your next door neighbor. You know what I mean? Like I'm this isn't something that I have to be the anointed one to be able to do this, right?
Right. No.
Anybody can do this.
Yeah.
Right. I created it. And granted, you have to have a little bit of entrepreneur, chutzpah or something. Really, to say that I'm bravery, right? You have to be brave enough to be an entrepreneur and, walk away from that paycheck and the benefits and things like that. But it starts with feeling your self-worth. If you really stay in the place, doing what you really love to do and build a career and a life around that, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, it is. It's like the perfect storm, right? It's the perfect. And so in all of this roller coastering, the ride that you have been on, what would you say has been the kind of the hardest and the bravest moment of it all?
Well, for sure it was leaving my job. Leaving that big fat 6-figure, and I had a 6-figure job, 4 weeks vacation, 3 weeks of sick time. So I had 7 weeks paid time off, a huge, amazing benefits package, a pension. And I just said, and there were people looking at me like, are you crazy? And I had a crazy amount of time off on top of that. People were like, I want your job, but I just knew I couldn't do it for one more minute. I knew that I couldn't see myself doing that. So I worked my tail off to be able to build enough business income, revenue in my business so that I would, because I knew I was going to take a hit, obviously, when I left my job. Because even when you have a big fat paycheck, when you have 4 kids and a mortgage and, and they live in New Jersey, it's expensive. Yeah. It's one of the most expensive states to live in. So it wasn't like I was rolling in cash, so I had to really work hard for like the 6 months to a year before I walked away. And I actually had a countdown timer on my phone for like 3 years or something.
Wow.
Like I was just like, this is the day I'm leaving. And I left a year ahead of that. But
wow.
I knew I was leaving for years, but I gave myself plenty of time because I knew that I just didn't want to be stressed by it all. I wanted to be able to be as confident as I could when I left. And like I said, I did it a year ahead of time because I couldn't keep doing both the way it was growing so fast. But that's what I mean. Like you can put your stake in the stand today and say, April of 2021, I'm out. And then you just have to work backwards. What do I have to start doing now to make that happen? And now I'm 5 years on the other side of it, right? So
yeah, I love that, and I mean that definitely would be the smarter way to go. I didn't necessarily do it that way. I jumped. Yet, no matter where you end up, there's a pull the Band-Aid off moment, right? It literally is like turn your 2-week notice in, or and I mean I got multiple offers as I was making this decision to leave. They didn't know I was leaving. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are like giving me multiple offers at this corporate job. And I had to say no to all of them. Right. So there's sometimes temptation. There's sometimes, things that don't look like it's handled. And yet you still have to pull the Band-Aid off at some point. And it's so cool that you did that like a year ago.
And how about Jena, despite the people in your life that don't understand at all what you're doing?
Yeah.
Right. Like they're like, what are you doing? And they love me and they support me, but they totally didn't understand what I was doing and why I was
Yeah.
doing it. How
Yeah.
could they? If they're not in that situation, they couldn't. So there's that too. You have to really be brave in the face of, some criticism.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. I think sometimes that might be one of the hardest things as an entrepreneur, because I find anyway that a lot of people aren't having this entrepreneur conversation. They're used to, like, oh no, you stay in the safe zone, you stay in the, like, what's expected, and yet if you're being really honest and truthful with yourself, that may not be the right choice for you, and like, it sounds like what you kind of went through is like, I knew what you knew what you needed to do. It was just getting there. And
Yeah.
you may have people, and they're just afraid, right? They just have their own, like, why would you do that? Why would you leave that? Why would you, and it's like, well,
Yep.
for the sake of something bigger,
Yeah.
and here you are.
Because I couldn't not. I mean, that's really what it comes
Yeah.
down to. I couldn't not do it. And that, if you've never been in that situation, you don't know. But
It's good.
now that I'm here, I don't regret one single bit of it. I mean, I have a little regrets of different paths that I took along the way, right? But because listen, as an entrepreneur, the best news, and I just had this conversation with somebody else today, Jenna, the best news about being an entrepreneur is the fact that you can pivot, right?
Yes.
With your life and with your business and with the economy, right? Like, if you have a job, you may feel like that's security, but you don't have control over your security. As an entrepreneur, you have control over your security. You can pivot if things change. You can pivot if the economy changes.
Because you're the decision maker.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I also want to anchor, is that there's this illusion that it's safer in someone else's hands, being an employee, and I've been both, right? I've been all of it, and then when I realize that they are actually the ones in the decision making seat, and they can let me go or not keep me. I mean, like, all that really is going on, and I'm not the one that can pivot. If the whole company or the decision makers aren't pivoting, you may just have to do the job that you've been given. And as an entrepreneur, you truly are available to that. And I think the other thing that you said was about kind of going back to the people that may not support you or what have you, is just you're giving those people in permission to do something brave and choose for themselves too. And
right. I love that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I call it the brave ripple effect.
I love that. I love that. And Jenna, thankfully there's people like you that have conversations like this to let people know that even if the people in their life don't understand, there are other people that will understand, and seek those people out. Listen to podcasts like this and seek out communities of other entrepreneurs, because they're going to be the ones that when you say something like, oh my gosh, I got 100 people that opted into my email list this week, they're going to be the ones that know what you're talking about, are going to be
like, yes,
excited for you, right? And those people are going to be like, what does that even mean?
How does that pay for the electric bill? They're going to be, and thank you. Yeah, that really is kind of the point here of the show, and of of course, just my mission as a business strategist, and as helping people have that ear, that person that's got their ear, and being able to have the support, because we're left out on our own devices if we don't have that community or support around us. So totally agree. So another question, I guess, is so when do you come up against fear? What's really pushed you up against the fear in your business?
You know what? When do I come up against fear? A lot. A lot.
Daily.
Right? A lot, because there's, it's all kind of on me, right? So I've got to really make the decisions. I have people that work for me now that I'm responsible for. And I don't know, I had kids that I was responsible for. Somehow that seemed easier than having, to responsible for people's paychecks. But I think for me, the fear that still comes up is probably around money, right? It still comes up. It's probably around money, because it really, when I had a big fat paycheck, I was driving a Lexus, right? I am making more money now than I was making then, but I am not driving a Lexus, because I don't want that kind of overhead. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to make more money than and it's not, it doesn't come from a space of lack, right? It's not coming from a place of lack. It's coming from a place of, let's keep this number as low as we can so that we can have lots of fun with the rest of the money.
Yeah.
But I think that there's probably some fear in there as well, right? I'd be lying if I said there wasn't,
Yeah.
It really,
Thank you. Yeah.
I like to keep my overhead very, very low so that I can, I can do things like go to, sit on a beach in Florida for a month and,
Right.
and not worry about what I'm paying for here. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a really big mindset shift for me, was coming out of the, I've got lots of money, so I can buy lots of really cool things, to I've got lots of money, now I can do lots of really cool things. And I don't really want to buy lots of things anymore, because I don't want, I'm much more intentional about it now, because it is definitely a different mindset, having, knowing that every dollar that gets into my bank account, I have to physically put there. I have to ask for every dollar.
There's no direct deposit.
Whether it's on a sales page or in an email, or I have to ask for every single dollar versus the paychecks coming in. So that's still, there's always work to be done in my world around that.
Yeah, no, I thank you for that transparency, really, because I think it's a place that people really, I think, still live, right? And when you are 100% responsible for every dollar that comes into a business, and it depends on the marketing, sales, brand, accounting, operations, all the different hats that we have to wear. And if we're not busy in the hustle of making sure all those hats are handled, and we're wearing all of them, or someone we've hired is wearing it, then those dollars don't happen. And I think it's smart, it's smart spending, I suppose, versus holding yourself back from something. I'm with you. I kind of keep my status quo when it comes to the lifestyle, but then it allows me to take trips, because I'm a traveler.
Exactly.
I love traveling.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what else I think, and this just went right out of my head. Hang on.
Reveal.
Let me think about this one
Come
second.
back.
I think that also it is, oh, I know what I was going to say. Speaking of bravery around all of this, another really brave thing that entrepreneurs have to do when it comes to this topic that we're talking about right now is, you create a product, you put a lot of heart and soul into it, you put it out there, and you want to sell 50 of them, and you sell 2.
Right.
You have to be brave enough now to say, all right, I know this is good. What do I need to change so that I can sell 10? Not, all right, back to the
I'm done. I can't, this didn't work.
So that takes bravery too. To really know in your heart what you're doing is good. And then just, like I said before, pivot and shift it until you find that magic of the price and the value and the marketing and the copy, that you're getting the numbers you want to get from that. And that doesn't happen overnight. And that takes some bravery to stick with that.
I love that.
Until you are getting the numbers that you want, so that you can start to count on them.
Yeah. It's so funny you brought that up. I'm in a launch of a program. I've launched it. It's just in the beginning stages of that, called the Brave Speaker. So it was interesting that you talked about how you started speaking all over. That's how I built my business. And I was terrified of speaking, by the way. So it didn't happen for about 6 years of being an entrepreneur. But that point that you just made is so huge, because in entrepreneur world, you don't just give up because you didn't hit the number the first time and the first webinar or the first, offer, and celebrate the wins that you do have along the way. It's like, and believe in it. I think that was what you just said, right? It's like believe in it more, and because you have to believe in it first before someone else can.
And that's where your entrepreneur community comes in. That's where it's necessary. Because, and so Jenna, if you're a speaker, have you heard from your non-entrepreneur friends, like if you go speak somewhere and they're like, wow, did they pay you for that? And you're just like, first of all, do I ever ask you how much you get paid? And second of all, like, I'm not really going to just explain my entire business model to you.
Yeah, right? Go buy my program.
So it's just like, it's like you really just have to have that trust in yourself that what you're pulling together is really going to serve the audience that you want it to serve, as long as you're willing to be open to shifting it, and that you can make it happen if you put enough, if you stick with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the stick that
Yeah.
is a really great message right now, because I see where people, this has been interesting working with people, is that I say, do this, focus here, only do these three things, like get masterful at those three things and do them for a while. And
Mm-hmm.
like build up the confidence, build up the traction, build up, whatever, usually marketing of some sort. And they want to quit in a month, and they want, like, this isn't working, I need to sell something else, or I need to create something else. And I'm like, no,
Right.
actually, no. Like it takes time and an awareness. And I love that you're speaking to this, because it's just really the truth of the matter, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to get from the show, is that it's not about throwing new spaghetti at the wall. It's about, like, throw the spaghetti. If it sticks, great. Keep throwing the same spaghetti.
Right. Exactly. If three pieces stick, keep those three pieces, and then figure out what you need to do to get three more to stick.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So there's some, consistency and persistence that we have to really put in play. So this has been really powerful. I really appreciate your openness about this. And I just wanted to ask kind of a couple more questions. One is, when you are up against fear, what are some things that you do to actually kind of move yourself through it?
First of all, I rally the troops if I need to. I've got a couple of really good entrepreneur friends, and
That's good.
I've
Call a
learned
friend,
over the
right?
years.
Phone a friend.
What's that?
Phone a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Phone a friend. Sometimes you just need to be talked off the ledge. But in all honesty, like, often it's the fear comes from within, right? So you've got to just find your way out of that. Mostly that's really what it is. And then maybe trying to kind of dive into that a little bit and say, where's that coming from? And what is a challenge for me, and what I'm trying to learn how to do more, Jena, is to really sit with that fear and feel it and figure out where it's coming from, as opposed to ignoring it and trying to make it go away.
Amen.
Because sometimes you have to feel it and figure it out where it's coming from to make it more quickly go away.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, dive into it.
I'm not very good at that yet, but I'm working on it.
Well, I think it's a practice, and it sometimes depends on how big the stretch is, right? Like how big of the leap is, and there's all different degrees of, like, oh, well, this is a little fear I have, but then it's easy to get over. And then there's a big doozy one, right? That kind of wipes you out. But I think you're smart in saying that, in the phone a friend or reach out. I have mentors. I have people that support me with that specific conversation. I pay them a lot to make sure that they're there for me. So I have coaches and mentors, and it is what's changed my life and business, is to have that practice and that person I can lean on, and having communities where it's like, hey, we get you, right? And it's like being able to lean into them. And I love what you said about, really self-reflection, because fear is not real. It's something we're creating. Right? It really is just like making some story up, and what an opportunity to like kind of like deflame the story, right? And just kind of put the water on top of it, and then just go do the action anyway. So thank you for sharing that technique and just strategy around it, because I think people are in autopilot a lot of times, and it's like, oh, fear, I can't do this, right? It's like, nope. Can't do it. Just run and, stop, kind of get paralyzed by it. And I just want people to really get it, that there's 100% a way through it. And it doesn't have to stop you, so that you can have what you want on the other side of it. So what, while we're here, what is the best way for people to connect with you? Because I think that would be
So I am at Karen Yankovich across all social media. So I'd love for you to connect me anywhere really across social media. But, part of the, to kind of go along with the message that we talked about here today, as much as I help people with digital marketing, it really starts with them and what they're confident in, and what they're really good at, and what they're really, where their power is. So for me, I really kind of make everybody that works with me start at LinkedIn, because that's really where you start to create your personal brand, and a really strong personal brand, and a confident personal brand. And, that's where you can start to step into some of the greatness we talked about here today. Yeah. So I have a free, like, what the heck do I do on LinkedIn course?
Awesome.
That's really the question I get, is like, I don't even really know where to start. And it basically takes you through how to, what you need to have on your profile, and then how to connect with people, and how to really use this powerful tool. And like we talked about in the very beginning, Jenna, the way you're going to grow your business very quickly, especially in the beginning, is not by having 100 people in a $50 program. It's by having one person in a $5,000, program. So LinkedIn can help you get those clients so that you have enough reach to do some of the more leveraged kind of things.
I love that you said that. I agree.
Yeah. So start with linkeduprevolution.com. It'll give you the confidence, the very easy step-by-step instructions to get started on LinkedIn, start to step into that brand so that you can start to get some of those bigger clients, so that you can kind of back down into some things that may be a little more leveraged over time.
I love that advice. That's right where I am too. It's like, so I appreciate you giving that gift, and I'll check it out myself. I love it. I love being able to learn more.
Totally should.
Yeah, I love it. And so thank you again for being here. This has been great, and just really awesome to get to know you, and certainly very like-minded. So I love the conversation that we've had, and thanks for being so transparent. So
thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, very, very good. And final question is, if this was your last interview ever, never speak again, what would be your message to the world?
Oh,
or your kids?
If this is you know what? Don't waste your life doing something you hate to be doing. Find a way to spend your time doing what you love to be doing. You're probably a lot closer to it than you think.
Yeah. Just one step away, usually.
Yeah. You're probably a lot closer to it than you think. So kind of do that work, figure out where you want to be, how you want to be spending your time, not what you want to be doing. What do you want to be? Do you want to be speaking? Do you want to be sitting behind your computer? Do you want to be picking your kid up from school at 3 o'clock every day? What are those things?
Yeah.
And just start to design that life, and you'd be amazed how quickly it all kind of comes together.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Thank you for your final message.
I'm glad I pulled that one out.
That was good.
Wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I felt that. So thank you again. This has been really great. Thanks for being a brave entrepreneur. And to all our brave masters watching, thank you for being here. If you found value in this, please share. And certainly give Karen and I some feedback of how this has helped you, and what small pivot can you make to get to where you want to go, and based on our advice here and Karen's insights. And we'll see you on the next episode. Until then, let's go get our brave on. Thanks, everyone.